All right, we're going to get started with our post-race media availabilities from today's Toyota Save Mart 350. We are joined by the crew chief of the race-winning team, which was the number 19 Bass Pro Shops Toyota. We have Cole Pearn sitting here with us. We will open it up to questions. Just raise your hand, and we will get a wireless mic to you. Start with Pat.
Pat Tickle, NASCAR.com. How stressful is like that 20-lap chase for you where it's kind of completely out of your hands?
Yeah, I mean, it's really stressful. You make your bed and you got to lay in it for a little bit there. So, yeah, I mean, I knew we were getting ready to probably lose a bit of time with the 32 that just came off pit road and had to come a couple laps earlier than we wanted to. And then Adam made, the right call that he did to go 3 laps longer and split the run and, go on the optimum strategy. And yeah, the bed was kind of made. You weren't really sure. And Kyle came out ripping off some pretty quick laps, and we were having to get through lap traffic, I think, a little bit harder than he had to. So, but Martin settled in and really took the whole run as overall and took care of the car really well. And man, just unflappable, never made a mistake. And, I think we were doubting it pretty hard there, maybe with like 10 or 12 to go. But then we started matching them, and, that gives you confidence and, try and relay as much as you can to Martin. And, he did a great job there. I thought, the 43 almost went off in track right in front of us. And, he didn't get too worked up over it and settled in and did a great job.
And we're also joined by the team owner of Joe Gibbs Racing, Joe Gibbs. We'll continue with questions for Cole and Coach. Over here to the left.
Hey, Cole, you mentioned the lap traffic. There was just a few laps to go, and there were a couple lapped cars side by side and hung Martin up a bit. I think they hung up Kyle a little bit too, but not as much. What's going through your mind as you're watching that unfold?
I mean, that's just kind of comes with being the leader. I think that's every level of racing. It's going to be a little bit harder when you're the leader, but when the guy behind you's got a little bit better tires, it's that just is what it is. And road courses are super tricky, as far as where you hit them in the right spot and minimizing the time loss that you do. You get stuck in a couple spots of the track and you got to fall them for a couple corners. It could be 3, 4 tenths, 5 tenths that you lose over that lap, and that's enough for them to close on you and get a dive bomb. So that's all we were really worried about.
We'll go to Jeff.
Cole, how has the strategy changed at road courses with the addition of stages? Because it seems like these have been totally different races than we saw before stages.
Yeah, I mean, before, there was a element of randomness with not knowing when the cautions were going to come. And now when 2 set cautions are going to be there, that changes it. But I think we saw a mixed bag today. I think you got the cars that are going for the win. They're going to give up the stage points. And then you got the guys that are going to go for the stage points and try to score max points. So I'm sure the 11, I'm guessing they probably scored more points than we did today. So it's a tough call. I mean, if you don't win and you don't get the bonus points, then you're probably off better going for the stage points. But, it's a tough bet to make.
We'll come up front to Tom.
Hi, Joe, Tom Fitzgerald, San Francisco Chronicle. Congratulations. How do you feel about the win and four cars in the top 8 here, especially on the weekend where you're added to the Wall of Fame here?
Really excited. We really appreciate everybody here. We get a chance to come out to California and Northern California. It's a huge deal for our sponsors. I called auto owners, and I called Bass Pro Johnny and Nora Miller from Interstate. When you think about that, our sport is so different in that you have to have great partners like that. And so, huge deal for us. Off to a great start. Dave Wilson from Toyota gave me an interesting, I was standing in winter circle and he goes, hey, do you realize that Cole and Martin have won this race 3 different times with 3 different owners and with the teams? And I said, you mean it's not the team that gets it done? You mean it's these guys? Oh, I get you. But it is pretty amazing. I think Cole and Martin, big deal for us. I thought Kyle did a great job today. Felt bad for Eric. On the last pit stop there, we had a tough time, and then Denny did a good job with FedEx. So big deal for us. I appreciate everybody back home. The Lord's blessed us with a great group of people, and it was a thrill for me to come out here and be honored, like you mentioned, to get on the wall there. It was a big deal for me, and anytime you get something like that, an honor, you think about everybody that it took to get here. I always think back to JD spending 27 years of his life building the race team, and you think back to things like that when you get an opportunity to get an honor like that.
And Ty won last night, so you're not going on much sleep. Pretty good couple days.
Yeah. Our little guy last night in St. Louis, we got in at 2 in the morning with that race. Ty.
We'll stay up front with Tom, Jeff, and then we'll check in upstairs. Tom, right here in the front.
Cole, how was? It's not on.
Can we get him the other microphone, please?
I can hear you.
Change. You. How was the communication with the spotter at closing laps, and how did he help the situation or her with the stretch driving, keeping Martin at least focused for the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, we, Clayton does a great job, and, we've all been together for quite a few years now. And myself, I spotted turn 11 all day, which was nice to be able to, talk and communicate and relay info to Martin. So, yeah, I mean, just, again, total team effort. I think there's plenty of times, when you're going around this track, 2.5 miles, slipping and sliding the whole time, you think about how many opportunities there are to make a mistake and for something to go wrong, and to hit it all right, over that last run is a huge deal.
You've also repeated, I think, Jeff Gordon was the only one who's repeated at this place. Is that added specialness?
Yeah, I mean, the road course has been great for us. I go back, as a racer, you always go back to the ones you could have won, and I feel like 17 we were really good and lost an engine and ultimately losing that race. So I feel like we could easily been sitting on 3 in a row here, and yeah, I mean, definitely one you circle on the calendar every year. Definitely all the road courses for us. I mean, I think over the last few years, just continue to show how good Martin is on all these, and the more you go back to him, the more you learn, and you get better for next time. And I think that's something special about our team.
We'll go back to Jeff and then go back upstairs.
For Coach, TV a couple times was saying that, Kyle and Martin is a rivalry. They both obviously won 4 races now, which is half of all the races this year. And they go back to the Busch Series days together. But obviously they're teammates. So do you see them as a rivalry? How do you view their relationship?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting about NASCAR. I love that aspect of it. Most sports, you got one team and everybody's fighting together. This sport, which I really appreciate, is 4 different teams. And they have to work together, okay, because back at the shop and everything we do back there and the crew chiefs working together to really be the best you can be. Then when you get to the racetrack, it becomes pretty much each one of them is after it, for their sponsor, for their career, for everybody that's pulling for them. And so I got to tell you the truth, when I see 2 of them like that and one of them coming, I start sweating. Because in our history, we've had a number of them. And, everything from the $1 million race where Kyle gets into it with Denny, and it took us 2 months to settle that thing back down. But, I think that each fan expects what they saw today, going as hard as you can go, and each team's fighting for itself. And I know each one of the drivers. And also, when you just hear them, they are competitive with each other. I know Kyle and Martin, our meetings, and Denny, and Eric's the young guy, but those other 3, they really do want to beat the other guy.
I'm going to check in upstairs and see if there are any questions in the media center.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. Cole, you looked absolutely ecstatic when I saw you right after the race, but this is the 4th consecutive year you guys have scored at least 4 wins, and 21 victories have come with you and Martin in the last 5 seasons. Is he a late bloomer, or how much of this is the Pearn factor?
I don't know. I mean, I think the sport takes everything to go right to win, and we're very fortunate to have a great relationship together, and for sure he's gotten better. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about him. I think that's what's so hard for rookies coming into the sport these days is the fact that you got guys, that are at the top of the sport that are always trying to get better themselves. So it's, I think that about Kyle Busch. I think that about Denny Hamlin. I mean, they're trying to get better all the time. And, when those guys continue to improve, you got to do the same. And Martin, Martin's done a great job this year with, with all the rule changes. It's a different style of racing and a lot more downforce. You had no downforce last year to a ton of downforce this year. And the fact that you can win in both configurations is really important.
Do we have any additional questions upstairs?
No additional questions.
All right, we'll come back over here to the left, and then we'll work our way through the room.
Hi, Bill Sosa with the Napa Valley Register, and it's for Coach. Matt DiBenedetto had his best career finish today, and one of the people that he credited was JD. Can you talk at all about what JD saw in Matt and how he helped him get where he got?
It was a real interesting story. JD's background, I know most of you know a lot of this, but he found Denny Hamlin and brought him aboard. And then we got a letter from California. It was a friend of Pat, my wife, out there. And she said, there's a kid out here who's just killing it in race cars. Love to have a chance. And JD, I think, took that. And at that time, Steve D'Souza, we looked for young guys. And JD told Steve, let's get him back here. And that kind of started Matt being back here and getting a chance to race at different places. I was thrilled today for Bob and everybody over there at Levine Racing to see them up there and running the way they did. I thought it was just great. I went to the car and told him, I said, hey, Matt, awesome job. And so I think about things like that all the time when I hear stories about JD and how he helped somebody because he did a lot. So thank you for mentioning that.
Go back here to the center of the room, and then Pat.
Coach, you do have a bunch of personalities back at the top. How do you keep, first of all, you're going to have Kyle and you're going to have Martin with their 1-2 finish and something of the rivalry, but you do have some high personalities. How do you keep them sorted out and staying on the same team?
Actually, people always ask me what's the difference between football and racing, and I said really very little. We have a car over here, but other than that, the point that you make, it is personalities and people working together. And we all know, because all of you are on teams, have your own team, and we all know that teamwork, you're trying to ask people to sacrifice their individual goals for the goals of the team, and that's so hard. But it's also the challenge and the thing that I really enjoy. And because the key to any real good organization or team is finding the right group of people and having them work together. And that's not easy. So you look around, our sponsors, Toyota, Bass Pro, Auto Owners. When you look at those companies and you watch them, it's the same exact thing in the companies. Those companies that really perform and do well, they're what? It's a team. And so I enjoy listening to any CEO or business person that's built a team, as part of a team, and because you learn a lot, because we're all trying to do the same thing. And so you pick the right people, they're going to make you look good. But our challenge is, too, with the personalities, we do have very different personalities. The 4 drivers are very different. You got Martin, real kind of cool, easy, calm. Denny's a lot like that and comes across that way, too. You got the young kid with Eric, kind of soaking everything up, and then you got Kyle. I won't use any adjectives with Kyle, but it is different, and I think those guys, it's interesting to watch them, and the way they work together is really, to me, in our meetings, it's fascinating. Everybody shares everything. Those guys, I'm telling you, they share everything about the race car, how they drove it, and everything. It's kind of amazing to see.
Go here in the back.
Pat DeCola, NASCAR.com, for either or both of you. In Victory Lane, Martin said something about what a season we turn this into. Do you know what he meant by that? And did you guys have sort of tempered expectations coming into the year, given it's year one with this group?
Yeah, I think you never know how it's going to go, and you know you're starting with a new team and a new program, and you know all those question marks that come across, and you know I know everything that coach and everybody at JGR made happen to bring us in, and when you can deliver on those those expectations, especially as you know as this started to click over here over the last couple months, it's a great feeling, and you know, just gives you that, you know, that confidence to know that, you know, you can still do it even in a different building, and just really gives you confidence to keep working forward and keep getting better.
Hey, Joe, you said in some ways there's not a lot of difference between racing and football, and I'm wondering for you personally, does the competitive spirit feel similar in both? Is either more challenging or more gratifying for you?
Actually, it's a whole different world. I've explained to people. I came up as the technical person in football, so I was working on structure of the offense, calling the plays on the sideline. I was a lot like Cole is here, you know, over there because I grew up in it. So the thrill of that and the agony of defeat, I mean, on that deal, you're shouldering so much. And in football, I thought I was going to at least get my chance where I got a chance to be a head coach. I learned, no, I recruited the whole coaching staff. They were dependent on me. All the fans there, the front office. And so there's a lot on you. I came over to racing, and it's a totally different deal because I'm not the technical person. So for me, it was kind of pick the people, spend a lot of time with the people, try and keep the sponsors happy. And I told everybody the biggest thrill for me is the first of every month trying to pay the bills. So I walk out of the meetings and I gotta go talk to a sponsor. I tell the drivers so that I'm gonna try and get some money so you guys can throw it away. And the crew chiefs come up with everything in the world. But anyway, it's a different world for me, and the biggest thing is family over here. I get a chance I worked with JD for those 27 years. It was a huge deal for me because I missed so much of his life when I was coaching. And same thing with Coy. And to be able to spend time now with Coy and what we did before and building the race team. Now I got the grandkids coming. It's just a huge deal for me family-wise over here. So it's two different worlds.
If you don't mind a follow-up, there aren't many people who have had two long, successful careers in two different sports like you have. At this point, do you consider your contributions in motorsports even more significant than football? Do you ever think about it in those terms?
No, I think both of them were so different. I enjoyed it so much. Football is just a thrill to be a part of that and get a chance to do all the things that you do there and go to Super Bowls. Over here, like I said, the focus, I think why this means so much to me was I said the greatest win of my life in any sporting event was a Daytona 500. Denny won that with JD's name on the car and everything. And so over here, you know, you got the family and they're working with you all the time. And you have a chance to be there and build things. Got the grandkids coming, which is a thrill for me too. Got JD's 4 boys. I think, you know, from what I can tell, 2 of them, they want to be in front office and get after it. They're playing football right now at App. And then I got one that's an engineering guy that I think wants to be in the engineering group, and then I got one little guy that's still making up his mind. I'm just saying family and everything over here is such a thrill, and to be a part of this, and starting it with 17 people and all that we've been able to do is just really fun. So it's 2 different worlds for me, really, and I don't think I could separate them at all.
We're going to go upstairs to the media center for a final question.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Coach, you were just talking about family. You guys have had a lot of success at Joe Gibbs Racing, but it's been quite a long time since a member of your family has been actually out there racing his way up the ladder. Ty picked up his first ARCA victory last night. What's it been like to watch a member of your family still pursue their racing dreams?
I will be honest. I was awful uptight with that. With your grandson out there is a whole different emotion, you know what I mean? Not that I didn't get excited today, but last night was a big deal. Ty getting a chance to win that race at St. Louis was a huge deal for us and family. He's always wanted to race from the time he was knee-high, so we're going to see what he can do. But it's a tough world. It's a tough world to be successful in. So anyway, it was a thrill last night. We got in here late, and Martin, it's fun just riding these guys' coattails, him and Cole. It was a fun day today.
All right. Well, Cole, we're going to let you move on to your media obligations. Thanks for joining us. Coach, you're welcome to stay, or you're welcome to head on to your next one if you need to.
I'll tell him. David Wilson said to me, you realize Martin and Cole have won this race 3 times with 3 different teams. And yeah. Oh, that's right. You were with him. And I said, oh, you mean it's not the race team? Means you have some talent. Go ahead and take it.
Thanks. They were all 3 in Toyota, though.
Thank you.